I bet you or your friends at least once checked into a hotel with a pool. But have you ever thought what could happen if you jumped from the hotel roof into it? The purpose of this video is exclusively educational. The examples in the video are used to show the difference between safe and unsafe actions. Our core intention here is to teach people of all ages how to be safe and avoid risks performing water sports and aquatic activities. Never repeat anything from the video yourself, it could be life-threatening. Diving implies many different categories. There are platform and springboard diving, splash diving, cliff diving, and even death diving. But there is also a very dangerous diving style that we are going to focus on today. It is called pool drop. By the way, Anthony Kiedis of Red Hot Chili Peppers was also into pool drop. It ended very badly for him too. We are going to cover it a bit later. This video should be considered as a part of a big story describing how to jump into water safely. Heads up, we do not support the actions in the video. Although our intention is not to judge anyone, but objectively to go over some facts. At the end you will be able to decide for yourself how to react to it.
Hey, what's up, water crew? My name is Jim and I have seen way too many epic situations caused by unsafe water jumping. So I decided to start an educational project where I will be showing some bad diving and explain how you can avoid mistakes and stay safe. Those who already made those mistakes and got affected didn't know how serious diving is. And our goal is to protect as many people as possible. So please watch carefully and share this video with your friends, especially with your younger daredevils. Today we are going to look at such crucial things as height of the platform you are jumping off, the depth of the water you are jumping into. You may think it's all obvious, but it's more complicated when all people who got injury thought. And of course you'll see what happened to a man who didn't know what you all guys are going to know after watching this video. That guy got into a big trouble. There are 4 mistakes that you can avoid to stay safe with jumping into the water. You can start counting now.
Alright, the star of today's episode is someone called 8th Booth, and it looks like everything he does is reckless. For example, one of his major interests is cliff diving. Let's think about why it can be dangerous at all. Today we've chosen the top 4 mistakes of 8th Booth. Never do them. The 4th place. Well, the first risky thing that comes to most people's minds is high. I have seen some very brutal smacks from high diving platform, and personally know a guy who lost his spleen because of such a hard hit on the water. By the way, make sure to watch the episode where we reviewed the most reckless water jumps. Those people's stories did not end well, but we can see that 8th Booth jumps from much higher cliffs. I really hope he has taken some diving lessons, but I highly doubt that. The 3rd place. The other danger when diving is the depth of the water you are jumping into. According to FINA standards, the depth of the pool for 10 meters diving should be no less than 4.5 meters. So higher the platform, deeper the pool. But 8th Booth doesn't care about it at all. He jumps into hotel swimming pools and natural water reservoirs that are definitely too shallow for safe diving. In a few videos he stands on the edge of the cliff waiting for the waves to cover the rocks, so he can dive in. This should be never considered a diving option. Not only can you miss the right time to jump, but the wave can be so powerful that you can have issues getting out of the water. Is suffocation really worth it? I don't think so. Although there are professionals who can dive into such shallow pools, like this guy who dives in the pool that is less than 3 meters deep. But the trick here is that people who do that spend a fortune of time practicing for it to go safely.
One of the techniques that they use is a scoop. When you enter the water, instead of diving deeply, you raise your legs and kinda slide in, so you don't hit the bottom of the pool.
8th Booth usually lands on his butt, but when I was watching through his videos, I saw at least one very harsh landing. As we can see, he couldn't help himself at the entry and wade straight in. I bet that was a hard hit on his feet and his legs. As you could have noticed, he tapes his feet. Now we know the reason for it. Although, as we already know, that was not the hardest hit of all he has gotten. Stay tuned. The 2nd place. The rocks. In this video we speak mostly about pool drops, but 8th Booth did a lot of cliff jumps, so a pair of comments here as well. While smacking on the water is one thing, hitting the cliff is another. And this is probably the highest risk 8th Booth takes when he does his jumping. One of the main obstacles in competitive cliff diving is to find a place for practice. I myself traveled to a different country just to get a few practices done. A safe place for cliff diving is not that easy to find. You have to account not only to the right height and depth, but also for the natural landscape too, where the cliff you are jumping from hangs over all other ones. But 8booth does not really care about that, so for his jumps he always has to jump very far away, and every once in a while it does look like he is going to hit the rocks, and you should know that it is quite possible. Plus there were a few times when it felt like he was going to hit the concrete. He almost missed the water. We once ran a test on how far you can jump off the platform, and trust me, it took me many attempts before we could jump a decent length. Plus we had a few meters of solid platform to run up to the edge, which definitely helped us to jump further. All this just proves how reckless 8booth is, and shows why nobody should ever try to repeat after him. By the way, at the same point I almost thought that 8booth is not just a single person, because I couldn't believe that somebody could last that long in such an insane setting. But let's find out about his failed jump.
Of all dangers that non-professional diving implies, the worst one is to land on the solid ground instead of the water. I personally know of a guy who is still in a wheelchair after a similar incident. And before we see 8booth's unfortunate experience, I promised you to go over Anthony Kiedis, frontman of Red Hot Chili Peppers' story. When he and Flea, his friend and future band's bassist, were teenagers, they were also doing pool drops. But accidentally, Anthony jumped over the pool and landed on the concrete with both of his feet. He says he realized his mistake in the air, but it was too late to do anything about it, so his spine got shredded. I really hope that his example is quite enough for any of you to never try anything alike. And now to the 8th booth.
You can see on his channel that all his pool drops are numbered, and maybe it's a crucial fate that his 8th pool drop turned out to be so tragic. 8booth's video starts with his jumps where he can't clearly see if he landed on the pool deck or not. Besides all the possible mistakes that we have gone over so far, his attempt was also performed on the pitch black night, and look how far he had to jump. There was no way for him to make it safely. So yes, he had landed on the pool deck with both of his legs. Plus, after he landed on the floor and fell in, he had to get out of the pool by himself. No ambulance was there whatsoever. He takes off his shoes and starts crawling away on his knees. Only then his friend comes in. And the craziest thing here is that his friend, who was supposed to call the ambulance, instead picks up 8booth's stuff like his shoes or his hat. I'm speechless.
And before I tell you what's going on with 8booth's legs today, there is one question. What if somebody really wants to make such tricks done? I mean, nowadays people are always talking about the freedom of choice and so on. There is only one way.
There are professional people like stuntmen who do even pool drops as part of their job. For example, my fellow, a star of the parkour world, Eric Muhammedshan, once performed a dive into a pool that is far from a specialized diving facility. But he had a bunch of people watching him, so he could get help immediately if he needed it. Plus, he had a clear plan of what he was doing, and the facility owners knew about it. I don't know how much money Eric received for that, but I hope it was $1 million, at least. On the contrary, 8booth always escapes the crime scene, because he does his jumps illegally. He breaks into the hotels and jumps into their pools without any kind of permission. I do personally think that firstly you should never do anything harmful for other people. I'm sure that night accident brought a lot of trouble to the hotel's owners. That's not good for sure.
And now what's going on with 8booth's legs today? According to his Instagram, it looks like he spent a fortune on his recovery. I still doubt he will ever walk like he used to, although he is incredibly lucky to walk at all at this point. So this is the first part of our scientific research on how to dive safely, and why it is better not to do pool drops. So we went through all the possible scenarios of such water jumps. Now you can make a conclusion for yourself. Maybe you have a different view on the topic, so please comment your thoughts below. And if you have adrenaline junkie friends, make sure to share this video with them. It isn't worth it, guys. Diving should be done in a designated places only. Watch other videos, subscribe to the channel, and please, never do crazy stuff. We will do it instead of you. Take care and bye.